Hello, I'm Rob Mahan at Marietta Woodworks, and today I'd like to show you a little bit of what goes into the making of glass doors for a display cabinet such as this one. The first step is to figure out all the rough lengths of material that have to be prepared using machines like the jointer that gives everything a nice flat square edge, and then the planer, which planes the material down to the exact thickness, 13/16 in this case, and then finally the chop saw that cuts the material to the exact lengths that are needed for the rails and stiles of the doors. Then some thought has to go into the design of the joint that is going to hold the pieces together. That starts with some hand sketching that is usually done at a campground, around a campfire, or inside the camper. And from there, that goes to some fully dimensioned 3D CAD models on the computer. And from those 3D CAD models, then dimension drawings are created that can be brought out into the shop to guide all the cuts for the joints that so everything goes together nicely. And then there are always test pieces to be made and to make sure that all the setups are proper and will work before we start with the actual material. So the first step, once the material is cut all square, flat, straight, and thickness planed, is to use the dedicated mortiser to make square holes or mortises in the ends of the stiles, which are the vertical parts of the door frame. And this machine has a drill bit on the inside, and then the chisel actually goes and cuts the corners of the hole to make it nice and square, and then you just move the piece sideways to get the rectangular mortise done. Then the rails, the horizontal parts of the door frame, most of those joints are cut on the table saw, and one of the jigs that is used for that is called a tenioning jig, and that does the cheek cuts on the rails, and that just slides in the grooves on the table saw and holds the material so that it passes through the blade at the right distance and the right height and nice and straight to make those cuts. And as you can see, the joint on the end of the rails are relatively complicated. So after all the joinery is cut, then comes time for some assembly work. And the assembly work comes to the flat table, where hand chisels are used to do a little fine tuning of the final joint. And the reason this joint is a little bit complicated is because we want to leave a nice rabbet with the square corners in the back of the door for the glass to fit into. So once those joints are hand fit so that they fit just perfectly right, then glue is applied and the frames are clamped up and allowed to sit overnight so the glue can fully cure. And once they come out of the clamps, then we have a fully finished door frame with the proper rabbet in the back so that the glass fits in nice and neatly and can be secured in with some glazing compound. And then finally, when everything else is done and the doors are finished, a 3/16 inch pane of glass will be applied to the back of the doors, and some glazing compound or silicone will be used to hold the glass into the back of the doors. So all in all, the process for making glass doors, although the doors look relatively simple when they're all done, is really quite involved. And I will talk to you again soon. Again, this is Rob Mahan at Marietta Woodworks.